all your external iFlows? If you are, that is a massive security risk because if one external system credentials get compromised, all your interfaces are exposed, right? So we're gonna take a look at today how to create a custom user role in CPI, and how to get control of your artifact authorization in that way. This is so on your CPI monitor and then manage security user roles palette. If you go, you will see a custom user roles. So you will see the standard ESBMessaging.send role as well as the custom one custom role that I've created here. So is create a custom role, then we'll assign it to the iFlow, and lastly we'll go to BTP cockpit and create a service instance and a service key. And then while you know creating the service instance, we'll assign the custom role. So that's already a part of the previous step. And then finally, of course, we'll test, right? That's how we prove that this is something which works. All right, so let me just quickly number it just for clarity's sake. Okay, we head back to the same screen, add a new role. So ZSBM.send is what I've named it. Any meaningful description? Yeah, it's creating. All right, it's done. So note that the same will reflect in the BTP cockpit. Okay, now we go to the iFlow. Pre-opened one of my iFlows. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail of the iFlow. Uh, I'll just change the user role here just to verify the user role name. Okay, it sounds good. I'll just deploy it. That's in the sender channel, remember. Okay, let's head back to the BTP cockpit. Click create. All right. So service instance will be process integration, runtime. Plan is integration flow. You can give a meaningful instance name. I'm gonna name it something alphabetically on the lower side so that it comes on my bottom screen. So just SI underscore 3PL. Just taking 3PL as an example. Okay, notice the role here. It's the default role ESBMessaging.send. I'm gonna replace it with ZESBM.send. That's my role. Yeah, okay, I think I'm missing a letter there. Yeah, B is missing, so ESBM.send. Next, create. Okay, takes a while to create. I'm gonna pause the video in between, but you will not notice. Okay, it's created. Now you have the third service instance. Previous two are present as well. That's specifically dedicated for my 3PL partner here. Click on the three dots now to create a service key, right? give it a meaningful name. Three PL key is better. Okay, let's click on create. Okay, so the key is in progress. So that's pretty much the final step. Okay, let's take a look at the key. This is my key. I'm gonna take a note of it. Move this to another window maybe. And then I'm gonna show you my Postman screen where most of the parts of calling my iFlow is already set up. Okay, here you go. Let's move this to the other window. Oops, I'm moving the wrong window. Yeah, there you go. Let's open Postman. Okay, so this is my iFlow, which we had made a change on, right? So this is my previous execution, so don't worry about that. Let me clear it. Okay, OAuth 2.0 is already set. I'm gonna so my access token URL, then the client ID and client secret. Remember, we have the new client ID and client secrets now. So I'm going to have to change these. Let's change the secret because ID looks to me is the same. I'm copying it from the other screen. Okay, paste it. Let's try now to get the new access token. Yes, it is reflected correctly. Okay, get new access token. Oops, it fails. Probably, I think it might be the URL because I was just playing around with it before. So let me just take the OAuth token URL again from the service key just to be sure. Yeah, I think it's the same. That's fine, I think, still just for verification. And let's try again. Okay, it still failed. So now what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna change my client ID. I mean, just use the client ID again from my secret. Okay, the secret is fine. Just removing the spaces, pasting the ID again. Okay, done that. Verifying if there are any spaces. Get new access token. Yep, we're good now. Proceed, use token, and fire in the hole. Yep, 200 okay. For those of you wondering how come I'm receiving a body, right? So uh, there is nothing in the iFlow, okay? Uh, so The body is coming because I'm sending a body, right? So I'm receiving the same body. Just to show you the same again, I'm just gonna do a minor change in the amount just to show you. Yep, right? So that's how. So as you can see, this is a success scenario. Now the real fun begins when we use the default ESB messaging.send. So imagine all the other roles are different. It could be ESB messaging or something else, right? So let's see if 3PL can now call my iFlow. Now my iFlow is not configured with a custom role. It's configured with a standard ESB messaging role, right? So ideally it should not allow. Let's see, right? If you see 403 forbidden, right? So even if I did not need to trigger it again, all it is checking is the role, right? So the role is ESB messaging send, which was the latest one, right? It's on the iFlow, right? So it's no longer supporting these credentials, right? Another variant I'm gonna show you is even if you try with the basic authorization to access the iFlow, it will not allow you, right? So if you use the default role, default instance that gets generated, you can access it with the basic auth as well. That's why even it is more riskier, right? So you should always create a custom instance, even if you just have one, right? So just a note of advice is that typically what we do is we do not recommend using iFlow as a direct gateway, right? So there should always be a API gateway between your CPI and your target system, right? So typically the setup is API gateway to CPI to SAP, and at the API gateway, you can very much create applications or products, and then that's how you can control the uh, authorization, right? So all the APIMs, right? SAP APIM, APG, WSO2, all of them follow the same process. And that's how we should always do it. I hope this video was helpful.